Hello, Blue Nation. The next installment in our Investing in Tipton's Future video series focuses on the question, where does school money come from? Our objective is to clearly explain how the three sources of funding, federal grants, state tuition aid, and local property taxes, come together to support day-to-day school operations and learning opportunities for our students. All Indiana public schools receive money from three sources: state, local, and federal taxes. The percentage of funding from state, local, and federal sources can vary year to year and district to district because of the differences in property wealth, student demographics, and the way the state's funding formula works. For us here in Tipton, our split is roughly 60% state tuition support, 35% local property tax revenue, and 5% federal grants. Let's dig into each of these three funding sources. First, the largest source of funding for TCSC, about 60% or just over $12 million, comes from the state tuition support. These dollars are collected through sales tax and income tax. Some of the withholdings from your paycheck and additional charges on material goods or services you purchase help contribute to these funds, among other state priorities. Based on the number of students enrolled in our count days, which are October 1st and February 1st, the state redistributes those tax dollars based on a formula to support schools. We'll take a close look at this state funding formula in a future episode. About 35% of our school funding comes from local property taxes, or around $8 million. Currently, these dollars are collected through local property taxes and local income taxes, although local income taxes are scheduled to phase out soon. Property taxes are assessed on personal property, agriculture, residential, industrial, commercial, and rental properties. This graphic shows a breakdown of where Tipton's property tax dollars come from. Your property's assessed value, which gets determined twice each year by the county assessor, is used to help determine the amount of taxes you pay. These local property taxes fund Tipton's public services like police, fire, library, and the schools. All of these public services draw from the same pool of funds to support our community. When property taxes are cut, each of these public services receives less funding. The last source of funding for public schools comes from federal taxes, about 5% or roughly $1 million here at Tipton. These dollars are collected by the federal government and administered by the U.S. Department of Education to fund areas of specific need, such as Title I, which supports students from low-income families, Title II, which supports reduced class sizes and teacher professional development, Title III, which supports students in our English Learner Program, Title IV, which supports expenses related to student health and safety, as well as effective use of technology. Federal Lunch Program helps pay for free or reduced meals for disadvantaged families. And the IDEA, or the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which supports students with disabilities to ensure a free and appropriate public education. These dollars help us provide an equitable, safe, and healthy learning experience for all children. These funding sources, local, state, and federal dollars, are accounted for and organized into three specific school funds. The first and largest is the Education Fund, which pays for teacher salaries, textbooks, and other educational materials. This fund makes up about 55% of our annual budget. The next is the Operations Fund, which covers the day-to-day costs of running schools, such as transportation, maintenance, utilities, technology, and support staff. This fund makes up roughly 25% of our annual budget. Finally, the third is Debt Service Fund, which is used to repay loans or bonds for major building projects like school construction, roof replacements, or our HVAC system. This fund makes up roughly 20% of our annual budget. Altogether for 2026, these three funds make up our annual budget, which will total just over $21 million. To recap, each of these sources, state tuition aid, local property taxes, and federal grants, is critical to providing the necessary educational services for each student. State tuition aid primarily pays for staff salaries and school supplies. So if we see a drop in student enrollment, as we have the past 7 years, we have fewer funds to pay for staff and curriculum materials, which could limit the opportunities we can provide students. Local property taxes help pay for student transportation, utilities, building and grounds, maintenance, and salaries for our hardworking hourly personnel, like custodians and food service teams. After paying for fixed costs, like energy, water, and supplies, we have less money to pay support staff. Federal grants are restricted to supporting vulnerable populations. Low income families, special education students, and English learners, our fastest growing population. In short, every source of funding plays a vital role in keeping our schools running. Nearly 90% of our education operations fund spending supports the salaries and benefits of our hardworking TCSC staff. So when one fund is strained, the entire system feels the impact. That's it for this week's session. If you have any questions or want to learn more, please contact Dr. Glaze or myself via email, or you can visit our district website, www.tcsc.k12.in.us, where you'll find all our videos in this episode series that are related to and the other related resources for the future focus page. Our next episode will dive deeper into what these funds pay for, starting with our education fund. Thank you for your time. We'll see you in the next installment of Investing in Tipton's Future.